Hi guys, welcome back. I am Stu and this is Ivory Towers for Roller Coaster Tycoon Classic. A well-established park which has a few problems. Your objective: to have at least 1,000 guests in your park at the end of October year 3 with a park rating of at least 600. 1,000 guests in 3 years doesn't sound difficult at all. We've got a few rides in the park already. It does say we've got some problems, so I wonder if we can see what they are. Well, there's a lot of sick everywhere, there's a lot of vandalism everywhere. Let's have a look at the rides already here. Okay, it's good excitement for a junior coaster, but it does take up a lot of space. What's this over here? It's like a swinging coaster. Very high intensity, very high nausea. And what's this down here? We got a monorail, just got a station there and a station there. We've got some boats. So yeah, I'm gonna get rid of everything. No doubt about it. So reasoning for this then, the monorail, I'm gonna get rid of that because it takes up a large amount of space and it doesn't really add a lot of value for me anyway. And what I want to do is, when I start a park, I want to start off small and I want to start off near the entrance. So having something that's with a station there and a station up there isn't very good for me. So that's one reason I'll get rid of that. The junior coaster, it's got great excitement, but it's taking up a huge amount of space. So I'm going to get rid of that simply because I can use the space and the money better. I'll get rid of the boat ride because they're boring, and I'm going to get rid of this swinging coaster because it's got huge intensity, huge nausea, and I could try and play about with it in order to bring it back under control, but even if I do that, it's still too far away from the start of the park at this stage, and it also means I'm wasting a lot of time. So that being said, what have we got? We've got free entries, so we're going to be charging for the rides. We've got some transport rides, a couple of gentle rides, good selection of coasters. We've got some profit coasters there. We've got a couple of good thrill rides. We like the go-karts. Guests will pay a lot of money for them. We've got some water rides. We've got some shops. We've got a kiosk, a toilet, food and drink. So that'll be good for now. So what I'm thinking now, we've got 3 years. We've got plenty of shops, plenty of coasters. I'm gonna go all in on gentle rides, which I don't normally do, but especially not when we've only got a few thrill rides. But I'm going to go all in on them, and then when we unlock a few more, we'll go in on thrill rides. So what I'm going to do first off then is I'm going to no entry sign the park just here, and here. Then I'm going to get rid of all the rides, delete a lot of the paths. Hopefully the guests will come back to the start. If not, I'll use the tweezers just there to drag them over and drop them there somewhere near the start. And then we can review where we get to that from there. So we're still in March year 1. Got rid of all the rides, so that's given me a good 14,500, so that'll help me build. I've built the makings of a nice path running down here, my favoured 4x4 grid. Built some shops just in the spaces there. We've got a nice space here, so I'm thinking that'll be a good spot for some looping coasters. Now I don't normally start off with coasters. I usually like to put down some flat rides first, but what I'd like to see is a I'd like to just put down some coasters first, just to see how that affects us going forward. Is it better to start with coasters? Is it better to start with flat rides? Who knows? But hopefully we can answer that question. I'm thinking, now I know I've used my my looping coaster a lot, but I reckon there's enough space here to get not 2 but 4 and have them synchronized. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that here. Hopefully then the rest of the paths will be empty. I can get rid of them and then we can start building the rest of the park. It is June year 1, so I've got my 4 loops there, all synchronized. They look pretty cool when they shoot off together. Any second now it'll do that. So we've only got 36 guests in the park. That's fine. We've lost a lot of guests as we've been closing down the other rides and deleting the paths. There you go. See, told you it looked cool. So I've got rid of the paths as they join there. These are all empty now, so I'm going to delete all them, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working down this way, maybe have a go-kart track or something down there, and then what I'm thinking is I'm going to build just up this hill, build down here, and then we can build down and then double back along there. So that'll give me a nice loop to put rides inside. And then this lake here, that would be good to have a path looped around, and then we can just build rides all over. But for now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start building rides down here, just looking at go-karts and whatever gentle rides we've got as well. It is October year 1. We've got 745 guests in the park. The objective wants 1,000 guests, so we're well on the way to doing that. And if you see the green arrow just below the park rating, just next to the number of guests, that means the number of the guests coming into the park is increasing. So we can see that from the graph. So as you can see, it's rising quite sharply. So because the number of guests is rising quite sharply, what I've done then is I've been concentrating on building paths, and then if the green arrow disappears, I'll just chuck down a couple of rides, and then once the green arrow comes back, I'll crack on with the paths again. So I've got a couple of spiral slides there, got a go-kart track there, it goes over itself, under itself, a few twists and turns, good excitement on that. Got dodgems just down there, a few more shops. So I've built my path all the way around the lake, got plenty of space in the middle to put shops down, built another loop just down here, up there, got some nice seating areas just up here, a few more shops. So we've got plenty of space to build rides in the middle here and just on the other side. And then what I'm thinking is then have some coasters just over here, some more here, another one there, perhaps put a swing in. I think that's where the swing in coaster was, so we could put one there. But yeah, I can't imagine any issues. We're not having any so far. The guests are loving the park, so should be a fairly straightforward scenario. It is October year 2, so we've got 1,300 guests in the park. We only need 1,000, so we're doing really well. We've got circus just down there, high capacity on them, guests are loving it, cheap and cheerful. We've got the swing coaster, there you go, so it's good excitement on that. The original one in the park that we got rid of was really intense and high nausea. So we've got a twist there, a few more shops, we've got a Ferris wheel, another go-kart track just there, good excitement on that. A couple of pirate ships, always a favourite with the guests. Then just down here we got a top spin and a space rings, a couple of junior coasters there, mirror images of themselves. There's good excitement on that. I'm just in the middle of building a couple of mine train coasters. I'm not going to leave it green. The reason I've got one of them green is simply so it stands out from the other, so I don't get confused as to which track is which. Eventually I will change it to either the same colour or one that looks better with it. A nice observation tower there, and we don't see these very often in the scenarios. magic carpets just there. They're always popular with the guests as well, so it is a shame that we don't see them very often. Yeah, we're doing well. Plenty of space for some more coasters. It's a nice big space here in the middle of the lake. We'll probably drop down a big wooden coaster at the end, but for now I'm going to finish off this mine train and then plonk down some coasters just down here. We got some corkscrews, and let's see what else we got. Maybe a stand-up. I don't know, maybe we'll unlock something else, I'm not sure yet, but we'll come to that when we get round to building it. Let's see what the money's like. So there you go, 9,000, 10,000, 8,000 there, so we're doing well. Guests complain about the amount of litter in the park, so we can maybe put down some extra handymen or have a look to see how we're doing zoning wise. Let's have a look, see if we can spot any issues. So let's hide the people, that'll make it easier to see any litter. It's a little bit there. If we can see any really, oh there you go, there's a few bits there, quite a lot there, so probably just need to oh there you go, I haven't zoned this area there, so I'm guessing that's the issue. As soon as I zone handymen there, then that'll save that. So what I'll do then is I'll hire a handyman to cover these two 4x4 squares, one to do these two, and then another one to do them two. So I'm not worried about money, so we can hire quite a few handymen, more than we need, just to make sure that the park rating is up on maximum when we come to complete it. It is June year 3. We've got 1,700 guests in the park. Park rating is up on maximum. There's a big green arrow next to the guest numbers, so the amount of guests going into the park is only going one way, that's up. We've got a couple more coasters here, so we've got a couple of corkscrews, reverse launched, nothing difficult with these, good excitement on them. And then just here then we've got a hypercoaster, good excitement on that. We're making so much money at the moment that we can just chuck money at the coasters, and probably the easiest way of building a coaster is just to make it quite big. We finished off the mine train coasters, so I think what I'm going to do now for the next few months, spam a lot of shops down, and then have a look at a nice wooden coaster just down by here. So I think what I could do is save it here and then build it, and then that way then if I get stuck, because sometimes you start building a coaster and you end up getting so far and you can't find a way of completing it, so you get rid of it and you go back and you end up wasting time. So what I could do then is just reload it and come back to where I am now. That way I won't end up being in the middle of September or the start of October with a half finished coaster. It is October year 3. The scenario wants 1,000 guests with a rating of 600. The rating's on maximum and we've got over 2,000 guests, so twice as many as we need. Since we last spoke, I put my research into shops, so I've just been spamming shops in spaces along, and I've also built a wooden coaster just in the middle here. So what did we do then? When we came in, the paths were a mess. There was vandalism everywhere. There was a few rides. There was a junior coaster that was taking up way too much space. There was a swinging coaster that was just a real sick fest. So we got rid of those. We got rid of the monorail as well, and we started from scratch, so everything was right down at the beginning, nice and compact. Now normally I put down flat rides to begin with, because I like to think that it's better to have flat rides, and then when the guest numbers start to mount up, then go for the roller coasters, because you've got enough guests to warrant having them. But because getting rid of all the original rides gave us so much money, I decided instead to invest that money in these 4 looping coasters. So we've got orange, we've got apple, we've got lemon, and we've got blackcurrant. All good excitement. Let's see, all good. 1,000 get two, just under 2,000 for these. That's simply because they're not busy enough to get higher numbers. As you can see, there's only a couple of guests queuing for that. After that, then we came down here, built the path down, a couple of spiral slides, go-karts, a few other rides as well. The guest numbers were shooting up, so I worked on the paths all the way around. We finished off these paths then by the end of October. So then from there, then all we had to do was just concentrate on building rides. After that, then we built a few more rides down here, and we started building junior coasters just down here. One's broken down, so it's good excitement on that. Nothing complex, just goes down, back around. Good thing with these junior coasters is you can have a chain lift around the bend. So that's what I've got there, just to give it a bit more height as it comes down and back up. Guests loving that. Just over here then, we've got a couple of corkscrew coasters. So we've got purple screwball and green screwball. Good excitement on these. Very simple design, there's nothing complex about them. They get winched up the chain lift, dropped down through this little inversion here, back up, and then the whole thing in reverse. Bit of an excitement buff because it goes through the supports of the other rides. Just along here then, we've got a couple of mine train coasters. So there you go, chain lift, down, back up, a couple of helixes. You've got the large helix around the small helix, and then you've got the small helix there, and then the other large. So you've got one track going small to large, and then the other track going large to small. So that should mean that they finish at roughly the same time. A few bends in and out of the supports, brake run, and then back to the station. So we put another swinging coaster in. The original was just over here, so we got this one down here. It's not too crazy, doesn't go up too high, and then some good bends. Don't have to worry too much about sharp bends on these, because the way the cars swing out, it means it can take tight bends quite well. As long as it's not too fast, it should be fine. Good excitement on these. And then just over here then, we've got this hypercoaster. Where have I got the station? Just there, hiding just down here. So we should be able to watch this going around. Let's wait for the one to leave the station. So it's good excitement on this. Almost 8. So there you go. Just a little drop, and then up the chain lift. Down, some fast bends, over the corkscrews, up through the supports of the mine ride, down. Nothing complex with this. Some more fast bends, some little bunny hills, brake run, and back to the station. And then to finish off then, we've got the wooden coaster just over here. Good excitement on that. Guess loving that. Up the chain lift, and then with this one then, I just wanted to go in and out of the supports just to create as many head choppers as I can. There's some, looking at it, there are some some bad looking sections, just like there. Then there's some bits where it doesn't quite work, and we've completed it. So yeah, there are some problems with the coaster, like this bit here. Where is it? There's another bit there that looks a bit ugly, but and then another one there, so it does need a bit of refining. But all in all, not a bad coaster. Guests loving it. Let's have a look. What was the guests' favourite? Oh, there you go. It was the hypercoaster. Next one then, the wooden coaster. But that just might be because this one's newer than the other one. So that's the scenario then, and we've completed it. Quite easy. Perhaps it would have been more difficult if we'd have kept the existing rides, but 1,000 guests in 3 years isn't difficult. As you can see, we've got pretty much double that. So I don't think keeping the existing rides would have given us that much of an issue. I think if we were to keep the existing rides, what I would have done to begin with, I would have closed down the swinging roller coaster, because one of the main problems with the park was the amount of sick on the paths. So the swinging coaster would have been contributing a huge amount of sick to the paths, so closing that down would stop more sick being added. Then hire some handymen, and then whilst they're cleaning the paths, then what I could do is maybe put down a few flat rides, like I think there was a twist and to begin with, and a haunted house, that sort of thing. I'd put down some of them, and then whilst the guests are starting to come into the park, then I'd work on the swinging ship. What I would have done is drop the chain lift down a little bit, so it's not quite as high, and then that way then it won't be as fast going around to the sections. You have to make sure that it does complete the run. I'm not sure how many trains were on it, but when it was testing I would have dropped it down to one train just to make sure there isn't any crashes. And then once it completes, then look at the stats. If it was back under control, then open it up. But as it was, we didn't do that. We decided to redo the whole thing, and I think it turned out alright. Having the extra money at the start meant I was able to build 4 coasters to begin with, so I think that did give us a bit of a boost for the guest numbers. But you've got to have the money, so I think each of these coasters probably cost around 4,000 to 5,000 with the coasters and the pathing, so that's almost 20,000 then for all 4 coasters. So getting rid of the rides gave us 14,000, plus we had about 10,000 to begin with, so we had enough money to do that. But normally you might not have that much money, so that's why I like to start off with the flat rides and then have a coaster then for the guests to ride on when there's sufficient numbers. So that was Ivory Towers. I am Stu. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Any feedback or questions, drop them in the comment section, and I will see you next time. Bye.